Tempo.
Ready to go. Joe, we good? All right, A1, we good? All right, man. We are here, man. This is a special edition of the Tempo Show, man. I'm gonna let the amazing brother introduce himself, man. You go ahead, man.
I'm Nate Brown. I'm running for Ward 6 Councilman. I was invited by Tempo himself.
Yeah, man.
Gave me a phone call, email, asked me to come through. So you got me here.
Man, and that's what he did, man. I really appreciated you for coming through because, well, one of the main things the main themes that I like to promote on the show is just positivity and progression. You know what I mean? And I think that's so important that we have to focus on because it's so much malevolence and pain and suffering that's going on in our community and in our world, and it's easy to just focus in on that.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? It's real easy to focus in on that. So like anybody who really has a positive message, and I don't really care what you do, honestly. Like I don't care what you do, as long as I can see that you're working hard and you're promoting positivity. That's what it's all about, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's exactly why we here, man. Y'all see the joint? Monte, go ahead and get him out the way, man. Y'all make sure y'all vote for Nate Brown, Ward 6, man. Like, where did you grow up?
I grew up in the Temple Court, Cecil Quarter area.
Temple Court, Cecil Quarter area, man.
Yeah.
So this man is a true DC native, right up in the roots, man.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's really a beautiful thing, man. So when did the community activism start? I would say.
Well, it really started with my mother first. Like, she was a ANC commissioner in that ward first, Lena Brown. So I seen her do it, and for a while, I didn't gravitate to it at first, but it was like direct but indirect for me. Like, I'm watching her go through different motions and helping the neighborhood and discussing when the neighborhood was going to close. But at the same time, I'm running around in D.C. playing in go-go bands and hanging around all type of guys. I mean, I had a lot of different walks that led to this moment right here.
That's a beautiful thing, man. I know one of the themes that I like to present is that, like, we have some idea that the leaders that we're supposed to have are supposed to be these, I never got in trouble, never did nothing wrong. There can be no blemishes on your record, and those are the people that's gonna lead. But in real life experiences, some of the realest heroes that we have and some of the most genuine people are people that went through some of the craziest stuff and have done wrong, you know what I mean, and learned from that, you know what I mean, and then came back from those depths, you know what I'm saying. That's the idea of the heroes, you know what I mean.
Oh yeah.
It's really good that we really represent that, man. Like, so wait, I'm curious, what bands was you playing for?
First band, Major League Band was my first band.
Okay.
Fresh out of Temple Courts. Then I went to Northwest Outlaws.
Okay.
And Renegade is the most recent band.
Renegade, if I'm not mistaken, like Renegade was I used to listen to Renegade. It wasn't Doug in that joint?
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh man, they used to, man, I'm gonna tell you a little story. Me and Monte was headed out. Y'all used to play out there in Waldorf. What was the joint called? Was it Thai Seafood? Not the Thai Seafood. What was the other one?
Icon.
Icon.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
We headed to the Icon, and I had $20 in my pocket, and we we drove all the way up there and stuff, and then somehow in the gas station, I dropped my 20 right as I'm going in the joint. So Monte had to look out for me, man. And when we actually got in the joint, the band that was playing was Renegade, and I thought that, man, y'all drummer, bass, they was so swift. Like, we outside the club before we began, they go, dum, 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 like, like I played the bass, so I could hear. I was like, oh, these dudes this is perfection right here. No slip ups, no none of that. Man.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy, man. So how long was you in Renegade?
Since the beginning. I probably missed like a couple of weeks. They called me and man, we made magic, man. We made some magic.
Hey, look, y'all sure did. I used to bump that joint when I was down when I was going down in school, North Carolina.
Oh yeah, we had a show down there too.
Yeah, man. When I used to bump y'all heavy, and them country boys, man. Like, they'll listen to. I be bumping in the car when I'm driving around and stuff. They be like, man, turn this joint off. I be like, well, you could walk. You know what I'm saying? like man, we represent DC, man, and you know, I think that I feel like we're really getting back to that as far as really supporting our own culture. You know what I mean? Like you can remember like in the early '90s, us growing up. I think we around. I'm 31. How old are you?
34.
There you go. So we right around the same age. You know what I'm saying? So you remember like growing up, like it wasn't no wearing out of town clothes or the flashiest. Nah. Well, it was hobos, shooters.
We all one.
Right. We all. Oh yeah. We all
days.
One. Man. All. Yeah. You already know.
Yeah.
And that's how you knew you was you seen a DC dude outside the area because they had that joint on. That joint used to be lit as a mug, man.
Yeah, most definitely.
Like, so that to me, that was really important. Like, I felt like DC was we were so boxed in. You know what I mean? Because obviously New York, we ain't mess with Baltimore, right?
Yeah.
We ain't mess with Baltimore. We ain't mess with New York.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And we didn't both ways.
Right? And we didn't think we didn't attribute ourselves to down south either. So we had our own style and our own real community. And
everywhere we went,
and you knew you were in DC because it wasn't like any other place that you dealt with
at all.
Right? Like I think we were the blackest city for the longest time in the United States. Like something like 97%.
Oh yeah, like Chocolate City.
Chocolate City. They used to call us Chocolate City, but that brings me to my next point. So with the I'll ask you like this: how do you feel about the gentrification that's happening in DC right now?
I mean, it's Washington DC. You have a right to live where you want to live.
Right.
I love Washingtonians. I love native Washingtonians. I don't have a choice or preference on a certain group of individuals, but I don't want people to be forced out of a place that they did live at all their lives.
Right.
I want the city to grow, but I don't want to see people get pushed out though.
Yeah, man, it's real. Like I know, one of the biggest things, and it's a real complicated issue because at the same time you want innovation and you do want growth and you want your communities to, you want new buildings, you want new everything. We have a right to all the new things that are going on just like any other city.
Exactly.
The problem that lies is that, how the money is being distributed and how much is really invested in the people that are here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like now you see, like, I think they about to tear down Saratoga as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Man, trust and believe, if they did that to my neighborhood, they coming for all of them.
Exactly. And I think that was one of, like, this really wasn't, it's not necessarily new because it's been happening slowly over the past 15 years. This is why it used to be just DC. That's it. If you was from Maryland, you really wasn't, like, when we was young, if you was from Maryland, it was jokes. It was jokes on you.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? It was jokes. You know what I mean? Like, you don't even try to claim it. And Maryland, if Maryland tried to claim DC and people knew you wasn't from DC, like, it was all jokes. It was fine you up. But as the, what I'm saying, over the years, the gentrification that was going on where, housing started to be a lot more expensive. You know what I mean? And so people started branching out into PG County, obviously, and now into a lot of places in Virginia as well. And so, like, the community had to expand. You know what I mean? And that's why I think that, like, we call it the DMV now because, Chocolate City was so, so close knit, and then people had to move on. And it's like now everybody, I mean, ain't nobody out here that don't have relatives that live in DC or in Maryland, vice versa. So.
It's becoming a tour town now.
Man, it really is, man. So, man, I really think that the way that we're going to be able to combat it is right here at home. You know what I mean? And trying to focus on each individual community and how we can help our communities best.
And stop the violence. Gotta get on the same page with your neighborhood leaders. It's not just about your activists. Your activists gotta be in tune with your leaders. The leaders around the neighborhood. What I mean by leader, it's always that guy around the neighborhood that they respect.
Right.
So Absolutely. If you can get to that guy and you got a relationship with him, you could tell him how to move certain ways and open up them resources for them.
Right. Exactly. And I think that sometimes people don't understand, especially for us men. Right. We really look up to other men. Like, we're looking for some type of direction to be able to orient our lives. You know what I mean? So the problem is when the people that you're looking up to don't necessarily aren't doing positive things,
or don't have the tools to do positive
or
things,
don't have the tools, right? And the tools were really, you could talk about is right after the 60s, you know what I'm saying? The tools were systematically stripped from us.
There you go.
You know, like you talk about, like my father, you know, he grew up my mother was from Northeast, father was from Southeast, and you know, they went to the military and all of that, and they would tell me stories about how, you know, when they was younger, there was a rec center around every quadrant, all the wards, there was a rec center, and it didn't cost no money at all for you to join the basketball team, for you to join the football team, for you to do any sport. Like it was an actual investment into the community, which also gave these young kids purpose and energy, and you know, young
and
boys.
structure.
And structure, exactly.
Man, shout out to number 2 Boys and Girls Club. I stole me a championship out of that.
Go ahead, get it out. Get the jolt off your chest, man. Get it in.
So I mean, like, at that point in time when we had Boys and Girls Clubs in every part of the city, that's how you made a name for yourself. That's how you introduced yourself. Even if you wasn't a star, they was like, oh, he played for number 2 Boys and Girls Club.
Right.
I know him. He came down Southwest. He came over Southeast. And at the same time, you had Parks and Recreation. You had the Rover Leader program, who was in tune with the Boys and Girls Clubs also. So it opened up avenues where being in the house wasn't the thing to do at that point in time. We was going on field trips. We was meeting people in our neighborhoods towards the point we can go around your neighborhood and didn't have too many problems, because I already met you on a field trip, already played you in football, already played you in basketball, and I might have played you in baseball.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And it built that camaraderie, so it was like, you know, when you know each other, that's, you know, we be talking about the NBA and people be like, why they don't be beefing? Because they've been playing with each other since AAU.
Yeah,
why they gonna beef with, like, I know him.
Yeah.
Like, we've been cooling it together since AAU. You know what I mean? So, and people think it's a bad thing, but I don't necessarily think, like, you know, I mean, we may not have the bad boys of, you know, Detroit and Jordan and all that, but I think what we have is something better. Like, we really have, like, people kind of moving together, and I would say representing what it is that black men should be overall. You know what I'm saying? Like,
most definitely.
With like what LeBron James is doing, and even, you know, with you, like I seen that you used to be like a basketball coach.
Oh yeah. I still help out doing coaching in basketball. Right. I think where I more so started with coaching basketball, I started off with Parks and Recreation, Terrell Junior High School. I was helping coaching there, and from that point in time, I moved on to, I think Forestville was my first team where I really sprouted out.
Oh, the Falcons.
Yeah, Forestville Falcons.
Yeah.
And then I came back home to number 2 Boys and Girls Club. I coached my son basketball team.
Lit.
And I mean, it's surreal watching your son play in front of you, because I was like, I played at that court. I had that uniform on.
Right.
And to see him do it, and he do it better than I do it, you know, I'm proud. I'm like, Dad, that's me right there. But the difference, he has a father.
Right.
You know,
that's
my father
important.
died from cancer at 9.
Oh.
So to give that moment to him, that's my money right there. That's millions for me.
Nah, that's really real, man. And I think that the presence of fathers in our community is really important.
Oh yeah, it's evident.
It's super important because like, I mean, you can look at even with all the actual psychological data and the economics of how much people tend to make. You know what I'm saying? When they have a standard male female 2-parent household. You know what I mean? Like you have a higher chance of being successful if you have that, even more than the actual money that you make.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I mean, for me, I grew up with a single mom, 4 brothers, 2 sisters. So it was kind of different in my household. You know, like my mother did her best. She pushed us. Always talked to us about school. Always talked about bettering ourselves, leadership. We have all those deep black women conversations, and you know, shout out to those single moms. You gotta give them the utmost respect to do it without their fathers, because you don't know how big a father is into your life until you don't have one. And when I finally had to come to grips with that, as a man, it took me a long time to come to grips with that because my mother always was talking from her perspective, but you needed that father perspective to be like, hey son, you gotta handle this. This how you go about this. The mother gonna be like, leave it alone, leave it alone. You know, your father gonna be like, nah, man, this how you become a man, you know?
Right. That's important. Like they even talk about that with like psychology and like Jordan Peterson speaks on those things as well. Like it's there's balance, right? And so you need that balance and that structure within the household because men and women are different.
Oh yeah.
They are different. So we're not even gonna argue that. They are different. So one isn't more valuable to another. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? We're both valuable to each other.
Exactly.
And so I think that while we see that, there are a lot of strong women that are out here doing it, that are thugging it out, and we got to give props to them. No doubt about it. Got to give props to them.
They're going to tell you, they're going to identify with it, and they're going to say, I wish I had him here.
Right.
To put him, because I done bumped into many occasions where moms say to themselves, man, I can raise him up, but only you can turn him into a man,
That's a fact. That's a fact, man. And so I know one of the biggest things for me is that like I don't like it when we have when people go to extremes in order to try to figure out the solutions to problems, right?
Yeah.
So for example, the idea is that let's say if you're in a relationship, right? So a lot of times what people do when they go through a bad breakup or something like that, then their idea is that, well, I'm just about to be single and I'm cool being single, right? And I don't really think you're being honest with yourself when you say that.
Or you don't know the parameters of being single.
Exactly, exactly. And
it's easy to say I'm single until you really single and that bed getting cold, that's fact. It's really easy to talk like that.
And it's hard, especially in this economic situation. Like,
oh yeah.
Like you talk about, you need 2 incomes.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
And both of y'all might gotta double up on the job.
Man, what?
I'm telling you.
Yeah, and if y'all have kids, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I have a daughter, and shout out to my child's mother. Like, I'm grateful that we don't have some of the relationships that I see. You know what I'm saying? Kind of with the resentfulness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like don't get me wrong. We have little issues. We argue about certain petty things. You know what I'm saying?
It wouldn't be a relationship without it.
Right. You know what I'm saying? But for us not being together but being able to co-parent, like that we're lucky. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the standard itself, the original traditional family structure, it gives the child the best chance of having a balanced look at life. You know what I'm saying?
Most definitely.
Like, having that like that structure and that help on both ends, and sometimes you might be doing too much and she could tell you what's going on. Sometimes she might be frustrated and she doing too much and he could tell you what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that's real important, man. So what was the actual point in time when you realized you were like, all right, I have to devote myself into running for, councilman, and I really wanted to, to really jump up in the ring and make a change?
I would say I was running around with a nonprofit organization called Washington Interfaith Network, and they basically was trying to organize around rebuilding my neighborhood, Temple Courts.
Okay.
But they needed somebody to step forward to say, hey, I'm representing Temple Courts, and we're not going to move until you let us know what's going on and when we're going to be allowed to come back to where we live. So it was an action with about 350 people. And I had my kids there with me. And they was like, I want you to write a speech and I want you to deliver it. And it was challenging the councilman who was there at that particular time. So
you ain't gonna say no name.
Yeah, I don't feel like nobody should be on this stage but me, man. Nobody. So I ain't gonna give you no credit on that. But
I feel you.
It was just basically a speech asking what were you gonna do about the people in this community. You told us you was gonna bring us back. It been 8 years. We don't have 8 more. The kids in the community, they call it No More. It's Noma. That's the name of the neighborhood.
Okay.
But we call it No More because we couldn't take no more through gentrification. So it was real prevalent. It was prevalent that somebody stepped forward in the midst of all this to clear up the wave, to make it where as though you tell us, hey, in 2 years we about to start rebuilding. We gonna start doing this date. This is how tall your building's gonna be. How many people are physically being allowed to come back? We wanted all that information. We wanted that.
Right. Transparency is something that
It's prevalent.
people fake, but they not really giving real transparency.
At all.
And we need that to be able to judge situations for what they really are.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's important. Like even with you know, I work for Metro, so I'm in Landover. So, you know, sometimes with our unions, you know, I have my cousin over here. He's a 689 representative as well, and we have like these problems that they have like in government and things of that nature, sometimes with corruption and the absence of transparency, it follows all the way down the line.
You better believe
You know what I'm saying? It follows all the way down the line. So we've had some issues where we trying to be like, all right, so where'd the money go to? And then people telling you like, well, you know, if you want to look at the books, you could come down to the union hall. And I'm like, see, that's not being transparent. Like, if you want to look at it, you know ain't nobody going down there.
at all.
You know what I'm saying?
And
Like,
if you try to go down there, you might not be able to get in there.
Exactly. And so one of the main parts about it is that, like, if you really wanted to be transparent, it's your job to get the information out. Like with our union, it's your job to get this information out, all of the information out to the union members, right?
Most definitely.
And it's the same thing with like councilmen and any forms of government and things of that nature. So, I mean, have you thought about how you're gonna try to be transparent if you do happen to win the election?
Man, that's a conversation me and her go at all the time. Like, Nate, you ain't gonna be able to do this about opinions, about certain opinions. We have our sit downs to discuss how difficult it's going to be and being able to answer the call. But I mean, I like this level right here. I like to be able to speak what's on my mind. You know, I like to be able to say, I'm gonna be there for you. I was there. I was sitting in that project hallway before. I know how it feels. I know how it feels to depend on the government to get something done, and it ain't happened yet. So I want to be able to give you that pacifier. I want to cradle you. I want to get you there. I want to show you transparency through me.
Right. That's a beautiful thing because I mean, look, at the end of the day, like these elections that we have for city councilmen and local and mayors and things of that nature, those are way more important. Y'all worried about Trump. Y'all worried about, you know, Hillary or who's going to run for 2020.
The person who will be right there in front of you, looking out for you.
Exactly.
What better person from the ground up? I'm a Washingtonian. I'm a native.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's one of my main reasons why, like, when I looked at your page, I was like, I'm all about what this guy's talking about. I'm all about it because I think the same thing should be applied to people of all levels of government and federal jobs that are happening, like police. I think that whole... You should have felons that work as police. This is just my opinion. You know what I'm saying? And I don't care about that because I known people that have been locked up that, you know what I'm saying, for whether it was just or not, they have completely restructured their life. And they're a more ethical person because they have went through they made the mistakes in order to learn from them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest things why I see like we have rules that I feel like that are tiered to political correctness that are not necessarily tiered to getting the job done.
There you go.
So it's like for example, right, you'll have like police, like you got like, oh, if you like one of the main things, right, when I was before I started working with Metro, I was trying to go out for transit police. So this is how they was doing it. As soon as you go in the joint, they be like, have you ever smoked weed before? And I'd be like, well, yeah, I smoked weed before. Okay, you can go ahead and go home. Straight like that. That. And that's exactly how they was doing it. So, you know, I think I applied the next time, right? Yeah. And then I was like, they said, you know what I'm saying, you know, do you smoke weed? I was like, nope, never. So then I made it to the last, you know what I'm saying, I made it all the way to the end, but by that time I was already, you know, doing the bus. So I was like, well, it's paid the same. I was like, whatever. Yeah. But you see, what that shows you is that by those standards, you're going to get people that are liars. Yeah. Because you have to if you structure a system where the people can't be honest and are completely judged for past transgressions, then you're going to get the people that are going to be in charge are the people that either are saints beyond saints, which that's probably maybe 1% of the people that's coming through, and then everybody else is just going to be people that either lied their way through or sociopaths, right?
Exactly.
Like the lie detector test, right? So they did all the little information on the lie detector test, and the reality is that only thing it really judges is your heart rate.
There you
So
go.
if I'm a sociopath, right, and I don't care about nobody's feelings, none of that, I could sit up here and tell you the sky's red and some more, and it's gonna come up the truth because I don't react to it.
Hannibal Lecter did it the best.
Right. Fact. And we have studies of psychopaths, murderers that have beat the lie detector test, and the fact that we're still using that as a judge, the fact that we're using people's prior drug experiences as catalysts for whether they can have employment and be representatives in our community is so messed up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's gonna take a lot of it's gonna take people like you. I'm gonna just tell you like that.
Yeah.
It's gonna take people who are really sacrificing themselves and their family for the greater good of the community.
Oh yeah.
And I wonder, I'm pretty sure that y'all have had the conversation where at a certain point you're really sacrificing your family's well-being for the community's well-being.
Yeah, it's a lot of time that go into that. You know, shout out to my woman in my life. You know, she really has been a backbone for the family while I'm gone away, attending certain meetings, you know, far as temple courts or a meeting that's going to push me to the next level, showing that I really love what I do. I love watching out for people in the community, especially the ones who feel like it's no hope. It's no opportunity. It's no resources. Right. I want to find that for you. I want you to know that I was there before. I've been all around it. I've been around every level you can name. From the lowest to the ground to the highest, and I feel like you ain't gonna find a person as diverse as me who even if they say, all right, this is on paper, this is what must be done. Don't worry about the paper. I'm gonna make sure the paper get done. That's for sure. The paper gonna get taken care of, but I'm gonna be the one who gonna come up to you until you knock on your door and tell you, let's fix that problem right now. It don't have to be on the books. Everything don't gotta be on the books, but I'm gonna get it done.
That's really a beautiful thing, and when people do that, like people resonate with that. Like I was staying over there in Forestville where the previous they ain't care nothing about fixing no laundry. We got 3 washing machines and none of them work.
Come on,
and
man.
They charging us per month to use the washing machines. And getting maintenance done was something crazy. You know what I'm saying?
We was canvassing down Southwest. We was down in the trenches.
Right.
We walked down there knocking on doors, and they say none of the people who posters are posted never came down here. A dude said to me, he said, it's 5 of us in the house registered to vote. He said, you the first dude who knocked on my door. Come inside. You want something to drink? Because all 5 of us is going to sign this paper for you to get on that ballot. All 5 of us going to sign, and all 5 of us going to vote for you. You the first dude who came face to face. You ain't sent a representative. You came down here. It don't get no better than that.
It don't, and that's what's gonna carry us out. And I think you were talking about like some of the perspective, right? And so it takes I think that it's a balance between accepting responsibility for yourself, right, and accepting the things that you aren't doing, right, in order to better your life. And then the other side is, you know what I'm saying, not accepting the BS that comes with the things that other people, governments, whatever the case may be, are designed to help you out, and that you're paying them essentially as taxpayers to handle. You know what I'm saying?
One of the guys who I say do it the best, and I always said, I can't look at the dark side. I say the light he did. Murray, man. The dude was awesome. He was awesome. Not on all levels, from the youth, mid-age to the elderly. He got the job done. I ain't worried about none of the other stuff he did. Right. As long as he got the job done. His personal preferences, that's his personal preference. Right. Out of all the mayors, he the only mayor with a statue. Right. And he always gonna have that statue to me.
And to me, all of us in DC, really,
that's what that green represent. That's why I chose this shirt. It's green and red because of Murray and Murray.
That's really lit, man. That's a beautiful thing, and that right there is so important. That number one, we shouldn't be idolizing anybody, right? Other than if you have some type of religion that you follow that. Yeah. But as far as we need to be able to separate ideas from men, right?
There you go.
Because men can have people itself,
Have
men
flaws.
and women can have. They all have flaws, but they can have good ideas that we should be able to take from everybody.
There
right?
you go.
You know what I'm saying? So
There
it's
you go.
like we can't if especially if social media and the way the media is right now. How in the world could Dr. Martin Luther King have survived this? No way. When you
There you
look at
go.
the actual the some of the things, the actual details of his personal life and what he was going through, he wouldn't have been able to survive it. But not because he didn't deserve it or he didn't have something to contribute, but because we focus on the wrong stuff.
There you
You
go.
know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care what Marion Barry did in his personal time.
Yeah.
How was he in the government? I mean, how was he?
It was
he
thriving.
not right? Was
It
he?
was thriving.
Was he completely when he did his work? Right? Was he contributing and being a force in the community? Which that was his job.
They don't give statues to anybody. Michael Jordan got his statue. He earned his, you know.
You know what I'm saying?
So you could buy a statue, but the people know.
Right.
It resonates with them every day, all day. I mean, you could ask anybody from that era. You know, I did the summer jobs through Marion Barry, you know, and to hear that $1 million was taken away from that contract, I'm just like, this is reality that's happening right now. What you saying towards the youth in Washington D.C.?
That's
you know?
real. Go into that a little bit deeper. So what's going on with the contract?
Well, it was in a newspaper, so you know it might be facts, it might not be. But I read that they not investing as much as they were before on Marion Barry summer youth program, and that program, I ain't seen a summer program stronger than that since I've been in Washington D.C. This 34 years right here. I ain't
Saying
seen a
something.
summer program stronger than that. They got the kids off the street, always had them something to do, and teaching them how to grow. I mean, it's a certain dynamic, it's a certain age, it's a certain point in time where you say, okay, everybody don't want to work a dead-end job. You know, they want a career. They want to brag with their families. They don't want to start all over again, getting pushed out of the city. They want to be
Right.
they want to be in their hometown growing, and they want to be somebody. They want to find their purpose.
Right,
They
right.
want to find their purpose. I was sitting at home and I said, what do I want to do? The question they always ask you, what's your short term, what's your long term goals? What you want to do in 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
And when I did my first action, I was like, dang, man, that felt good. Because they was like, you open up doors for your community. I said,
Right.
oh, man, they go to light right there. That's something that I'm good at, hands down. I got to walk in this light. I got to walk in it as many ways as possible. It ain't just about running for councilman. You know, it's bigger than that. It's about creating them resources, creating them opportunities. It's a little boy right now. His mother can't afford them shoes, you know. His mother can't afford New Balances. His mother can't afford Adidas. His mother can't afford no type of Nike boots. He's in those boys and girls clubs, or he might just be on a basketball team. You know what happened when them kids don't got them shoes? You know what happened when them kids don't have that?
Facts.
Nate Brown gonna be the one to say, let's go to the store and get that shoe for you. I want you to have that. I
Right.
want you to be able to sit with your friends and be able to relate. You don't gotta have the top brand, but you gotta have something close.
Absolutely.
That's what I liked it about when uniforms came to DC. It took away from you having to be the freshest. But
Right, the
what
stress.
happens when your uniform dingy? What happened when your uniform white and it's black?
Right.
It need to be washed.
Facts.
It need to be properly washed. They need more uniforms.
Right. And
You
that's
gotta have a heart, man. You gotta have a heart.
Absolutely. You got to have a heart, and I think that also, for me personally, I think that also the way we can't rely on the education system or the government to educate our children on the things that they need to do.
Never.
We have to real life put in the research and understand what is gonna facilitate our kids being more successful. Like I have a daughter, she's 8 years old, and so one thing I've been through the college system. I know about, you know, there's a lot of good benefits for it, right? And I also know that, you know, the college system itself is probably the biggest Ponzi scheme that anybody has ever created. You know what I'm saying? And you know, it has its great points because it teaches you how to be able to discern information, right? But then there's another issue that I have an issue with as far as the way the school system is funneled. It's not teaching you the tools that you're going to need to be able to be successful in a world 20 years from now when you go older, right?
There you go.
So that's what everybody told me. Everybody when I was, my parents they was in the military. They worked hard. They wasn't rich, but they were middle class people that work hard to put me in private school when I got in high school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I went to McNamara, and one of the biggest things I seen was just everybody was telling you felt like if you didn't go to college, right, that you basically were not a success in life, right?
Yeah.
That college was going to be your avenue to be successful. Yeah. Now, we in the same generation, right? Yeah. So once I did the whole route. I did it, you know what I'm saying? Like went to college, you know what I'm saying? Put in the work, played around a lot, but you know what I'm saying? Overall, put in the work. Yeah. And then once I got my degree in public relations, so I'm sitting up here thinking that, all right, like job's gonna. I'm coming home with my feet up. Like do I even need to call them? They gonna be ringing my phone. You know what I'm saying? No, it's not like that at all. Once I realized I started getting into the real world, I started understanding that even with this degree, degrees aren't what they used to be
at all.
You know what I mean? Because I don't even necessarily think that was purposeful, but I think that back in the day nobody had degrees. That's why it was so prevalent for people to have them. Yeah. Now they're not teaching these trades in high school, right? So nobody now like having a trade,
financial literacy,
financial, that's real.
That's something big. When I never understood, even when I was at school, I went to Paul Laurence Dunbar. I mean, I love our education system, but we never in no public schools where they were teaching financial literacy. You know,
absolutely, and that's key.
Public school like. That's a setup in itself, you know. Balancing checks, you know. How you have a system like that, and you want them kids to thrive, and it's not in the public school system. I mean,
it's
a recipe for failure, you know. You need that.
Right.
You don't know how far the stuff they teach you, and then the stuff you learn it at home. Also, you can't put it all on the school system.
That is true.
It's at home too. True. Learning is every day. Right. I went to school for about 2 years. When I sat with myself now every day, I want to read. I want to read all the time. I want to read. I be at work. I'm trying to read. I feel like I want to learn something different every day. I don't want to feel like I'm missing no topics that I can discuss. So I need facts on that.
And the more that and that's one of the biggest things for me is like the more that you read and you understand. Like I was a big history buff. Like,
I'm on that. That's
I was all about history, and so
I'm cringing right now on that.
It's real. And so for me, it was like the more that you understand, the more that you start to read, you get to learn about how much you really don't know and how complicated every issue of substance really is. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like once you learn that, nobody, especially any extremist, can't pull the wool over my eyes.
There you go.
I have a problem. Like let's say I have a problem with the school system and how basically, especially when it comes to history, they're telling a certain side. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, I love this right here.
That joint is absolutely real. But I hope I don't throw you off. Because there's another side sometimes when I let's say with like the 5%ers and certain people in the conscious community, right? Yeah. That also aren't. I feel they're doing the same thing, right? Yeah. You're cherry picking facts off of history to promote your agenda. Yeah. And that part right here, I don't think that helps us. You know what I mean? Like where they'd be like, well, the white man has been running this for this, and that. And I was like, well, the Ottoman Empire was from 600 to 1300 AD. So the longest empire that ran the world that we know of was black.
There
right?
you go.
You know what I'm saying? So
there you go.
It's so understanding that information, like, look, I think it's more of a human thing. Like, look, everybody has contributed to the progression and the malevolence that we have today. And so what it tells you is that we shouldn't be so polarized as to focus on everybody wants somebody to blame other than themselves. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And what it distracts you. Because if you don't understand your own faults, your own insecurities, then you won't be able to really find the messed up parts of life that you need to deal with.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like, figure out what's going on with yourself. Work hard. Try to be as honest as possible. Then while you're doing that, then you're going to realize that, hey, this isn't right for them. You know what I mean? And then you can contribute.
Yeah, that's when the growth comes. When you can identify what's happening with yourself.
That's real. That's absolutely real. So I guess my next one would be like, as you've been starting this campaign, and it's obviously it's coming up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's coming up, man. What was some of the trials and tribulations that you went through?
People keeping their word. I mean, you
Mm.
got you
Yes.
know when I because I've been on so many different walks of life. A lot of people like, oh man, they go Nate, man, I'm with you, Nate. I'm gonna be out there with you. I'm gonna do this for you. I'm gonna
Right.
campaign
Joe
with you.
A1.
I'm gonna donate.
Do we know about this?
Yeah, I'm gonna call you.
I got you.
Yeah, I'm gonna be there. They in my DM. They texing me. They calling me.
Man.
And then you gotta watch out for their personal agendas. Oh, come
Mhm.
over here. Come sit with me. Come
Right.
stand with me. Let's have this conversation. And then when it's time for the work to get done, it's only a few. Shout out to Brittany. Shout out to my cousin Lakeithia. Shout out to my sister Christina. That's all I had. And number one, Brittany holds the hands down with all the work. All the
Shout out
work
to
that
Brittany.
get done, she puts in the grind. If it's slow, she picks up the slack. If we going hard, she going harder. It's always an idea. It's always a phone call. Did you check your email? Did you read the newspaper? I mean, positive. Hey, you don't need to sit around with nobody negative. They bringing that to you,
There you
saying
go.
you can't win. Let's step off. You know, like
Fact.
it's always ideas to keep me on page, and I love that. I love that. I love the enthusiasm she brought to this campaign. It was both our first run together.
Hey, look, that look, bullet point and message right in there. That's how important it is for you to not, especially when it comes to having another person in your life, you know, however that may be. When in relationships, it's important that you have someone that is devoted to helping you be your best self.
Yeah.
And in turn for that, you picking up the responsibility to do the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like stop, like it's really, you know, that's why I'm kind of single right now. But like I'm not saying it like, you know, I'm not throwing away the idea but I do know the goal is to bring people into your life that can benefit you.
Yeah.
Right? And you vice versa to them.
And it's it's like it's something I had to realize. This is something I had to realize during this campaign. It's people who are already up here. They already up here.
Right.
And you starting off and you calling them because you know them. You know them personally. You reaching out and you like, let's get together, let's make something happen. But they already here. They already on their way. They
Right.
already made it. You gotta put in your grind.
That is true.
And
That is true.
it's different. It's different. You want that help and you try your best not to take it personal because what they basically saying to you is, I got mine. And if I get you this, yours gonna go over top of mine, So you have to be, you gotta be mindful. You gotta be mindful of the grind, and don't try to duck the grind. Go through the grind, and don't take things personal, man.
That's I struggle with that same thing, especially all the sense. And this
You might reach out to Donnie Simpson. He might be like, hey. You kind of hot. You got all the hottest guys in Washington, D.C. right now. I'm afraid of you. I can't tell you I'm afraid of you.
Man.
But what I'm going to do is I'm not going to
sign
help
nothing
with you. Yeah, I'm not going to help you get to that point in time. Nah.
And
I went through a lot of that. I reached out because I felt like we all doing the same thing. We all trying to make our community better.
Right.
But then you realize it's not what you think it is. You think it's just about making the community better. It's platforms. Everybody had their platform, and they all want you to stop on their platform.
Right.
But I don't want to go too deep into that. But I'm just amazed. A lot of people are amazed.
Yeah, man. It's rough out here, like that, for sure. And for me, I try to look at it from both angles. It's the same thing for like I had a guy on the show as well. Like shout out King Lovett. So he's a rapper, whatever, and so. He got into it with like APAP, who's a comedian or whatever in the DMV area and stuff. So he's APAP.
Familiar.
I mean, he got like 50,000 followers. He's getting there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, obviously Lovett ain't had no. You know what I'm saying? He don't got nowhere near that much. And so they were going back and forth, obviously arguing and stuff about because. I don't know. He was talking mess on Cuz comments and they was going back and forth. So. My main thing was that what he was talking about, which he did have some valid points as far as he was he said that he was moving to like he said, he went to his comedy shows, they known each other, you know what I'm saying? They was clicking it up, whatever you know what I'm saying? And when it came time for like him to reach out, I guess to kind of promote and things of that nature, like, cuz didn't look out for him, you know what I'm saying? What I guess, but on the other side, like once you start to, and I'm kind of getting at a little bit now, but like your time itself is so heavy, and being able to manage your time and understand what it should, you know what I'm saying, who I should bring in, what I'm supposed to devote energy to. It's hard, especially for people that don't have a really strong core sense of values.
There you go.
And and like I'm not judging anybody, you know what I'm saying? I'm not judging anybody, but I think that's why it's important that we recognize. That's one of the things I seen with you. I think it's important that we recognize people like you that have been through and live in the community. You know what I'm saying? That have a core sense of values. These are the people that we want to promote because those are the people that are gonna really put in the effort to help fix our community. You know what I'm saying? But it's kind of rough because as you advance in the political system, and like Tempo Pod TV is out here for you. So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you just give me the dates, man. We gonna be out there straight up. But as you progress in the political climate, things start getting more complicated because like we were talking about, networking is key.
Yeah.
And then money will start to be key.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And how you'll be able to get that money. One thing about the community is that, like you are out there for them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when it comes to be able to finance, a lot of the people that have the tools or the money to finance you aren't gonna have the same political agenda as the community that you're talking about
at all.
And then on the other side, the community that rocks with you doesn't necessarily have the capital or the financial the financial backing in order to give to you
at all.
So it gets complicated as you move forward. Like, how do you plan on navigating that?
I think first and foremost, keeping a job. Keeping a job is the main thing.
That's a fact. Hey, that's why I ain't quit mine.
Right now, I'm keeping a job. I'm thinking about how to get more educated in what I'm doing. Whether it's some type of class I could take so I could thrive, and even switch jobs from what I'm doing now to closer to what I'm doing, to what I want to do. The most important thing for me to do with that, you got to reach out to organizations, nonprofit organizations,
right.
who are willing. There are nonprofits who are willing out here, especially when they see, oh man, he's seriously about that. Hey, he has a vouch. This person said his name and said he really gonna put in the work. I seen him hands on with the kids. He been working with the kids for free. He been going downtown for Temple Courts for 3 years for free. He been sitting at the table with the mayor, coming home late with Dip Head, the deputy mayor's office, getting cussed out by his wife to be for free. Like he physically loves everything about that neighborhood because he came from that neighborhood, and he will come to your neighborhood. It's not even just about the projects. I will come to your dog park and come sit with you at the golf course.
Or your home studio.
Your studio. This is Nate Brown. This is who I am, Mr. Ward 6. This is what I do. This is not a gimmick. It's not a show. When the camera go off, I'm still grinding.
That's a fact, man. That's a fact. So, man, I'm with all of that. You know what I'm saying? I'm what I want to do, especially with this podcast, is to just bring on people who are authentic, to give people some real insight, as to some of the real good people and good information that you possibly can give that's not watered down, or you know how the radio goes, man, this DJ da 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 da, we got councilman da da da, you know what I'm saying? Like, on a honest but serious tone at times, you know what I'm saying? So that's lit. So all right, so as far as the campaign goes, man, if people want to support you, man, how do they do that?
www.natebrown2018.com.
All right.
That's the website that handles everything. We have our shirts. If you want to donate, if you want to see what I've been doing,
Mm-hmm.
all my progressions, everything from the beginning,
Right.
from what happened to my neighborhood that changed my life and made me want to protect your neighborhood. It's like so much power in doing it that I'm like, I start saying to myself, dang, I filled out for councilman. I don't know if I really want to do that. Like
Yeah.
the power is so much stronger providing for your community, physically seeing these people grow,
Mm.
setting up opportunities for these next group of young men and young women in your neighborhood who thought that they couldn't get it done. They say to themselves, it's not gonna be here. Like this opportunity is not gonna be here for me because it's nobody here to step forward and speak on it. It's nobody saying, man, that's wrong, man. Hey, look, go to work. It's a job right here ready for you. Put them drugs down. Put that gun down. It's not going to get you nowhere. There's nobody right here saying that. When I was growing up, I had a mentor. I had a couple of mentors in my life that got me here. Rodney Weaver, Damon Singletary with Parks and Recreation. I already had my head on my shoulder, but they kept my head on my shoulder. And when I called them and I told them I was stepping forward and I was going into politics, they was like, Nate Brown, man, I've been you all your life, man. I'm proud of you. We got come over. We gonna cook steaks on the grill, man. They were just so happy that after all these years, I'm still on the road. I feel like I found myself. I found a glow, something that I could say I can grow in this forever, man. I can do it forever.
Yeah.
I'm in love with it.
That's how you know. And for anybody out there that's trying to find what it is that you want to do, like for me, I think the sentiments are kind of the same. When I wanted to invest in this podcast and really, do this on a serious level, I did it with the understanding that this may never pop. You know what I'm saying? Like I may never get
There you go.
I completely jumped head first into it.
There you go.
Got the got the loan, got the money for all the equipment that I needed, and then learn what I needed to learn with the understanding that this may never, I'm not doing it for the clout or the money. Like a lot of times people be offering me money now, you know what I'm saying? Like, well, as I'm getting,
Hey,
people are now offering me money to come on the show and do all of that. And it's like, and like for me,
right where you started at.
I already know.
Focusing on that.
Exactly.
Keep your mind right where you
I'm not,
started
man.
at.
I'm not.
And you gonna be surprised where you land at. When
I
was right there at that point in time where you was at, I didn't know that this would happen. I didn't know that my face would be a face speaking for the community. I didn't expect nothing like that. I just did it. I stepped forward. The call came to my phone and I answered the call. That's all.
Right.
And you don't know. You might not be podcast. You might move on to television. You don't know what lane that somebody else might see you in and say, he did good at this, but this is where he really need to be at. You did good asking questions. This is where you need to be at, and you don't know how much more in love you're gonna be with it. You don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't know.
You
But
never know.
walk this road right here. Walk it until it's time for you to go to the road that you meant to do forever.
That's real, man. God, I think
Yeah.
I think that's a good one to go ahead and end on.
Yeah.
Y'all make sure y'all check out Nate Brown now. Oh yeah, okay, let's get the claps in there. Yeah, that was beautiful, man. Y'all make sure y'all take us www.natebrown2018.com.
Oh, one more before we go.
You good?
One of the biggest moments that changed my life when I came home, my best friend was murdered. I came home from college, my second year in college, St. Augustine College in Raleigh, North Carolina.
I know where it's at.
Yeah. Rest in peace to Santino Henson. When he died, a part of me died, but it made me be more self-conscious in my neighborhood. It made me say, all right, this was cool at that point in time, but that ain't what I want to do. That's all.
That's real, man. That's real. Y'all make sure when y'all Google him, y'all put in Nate Brown. Because the Brown, like, if you just put in Councilman Brown, there's a lot of people that done got in trouble, and that's not this dude right
Exactly.
here.
There you go. There you go.
Y'all make sure y'all look up Nate Brown for Ward 6, man. Y'all definitely come out there. Y'all vote. When is voting? When does that even start?
November 6th. And also, they began the early vote, and I think they began the 22nd. Yeah, the early vote.
22nd October.
Of October, yeah.
So y'all keep on the lookout for
Write
that,
me
man.
in,
I'm
write me
gonna
in.
try to get this joint edited as soon as possible, man. I really appreciate y'all coming through. Are there any other shout outs we want to do real quick? We good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Shout out the first lady over there,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
She like
Oh,
she
yeah.
ain't say much, but she exactly. Just vote,
Just
man. Just vote, man.
yeah.
Really appreciate you coming through, brother. That's lit, man. Hey, look, this is another beautiful episode of the Tempo Show, man. DMV Speaks. We gonna holler at you.
Yes, sir.
Realest.